Every single day, countless new startups are founded. But what makes a new business successful and others not? Early entrepreneurship research commonly focused on the founders and their psychological and socio-demographic characteristics. This approach was not found to be very successful. No typical profile of the successful entrepreneur could be found. Instead, another approach seems to be more promising. Not to focus on who successful business founders are, but to investigate what successful business founders do. Hence our research question becomes, are some ways of organising the startup process more successful than others? Many research projects have investigated large samples of new businesses during their startup process. The idea is to record when different startup activities are undertaken. For example, when do new business founders talk to potential customers? When do they buy equipment? Or when do they set up a website? Some studies include up to 40 different activities. However, making sense of these data has turned out to be harder than first imagined. Every single startup seems to follow its own sequence, and any sequence seems to be possible. Finding more regularity called for a new approach to capture this complexity. Dr. Scott Gordon took on this challenge as part of his doctoral work at the Australian Centre for Entrepreneurship Research. He used 2 annual waves of data from the QUT ACE project. Almost 500 randomly sampled nascent businesses were analysed. Nascent means these startup attempts were initiated but were not fully operational at the time of the first interview. 1 year later, the research project measured startup success with the help of 2 indicators. Did the new business now have regular sales? And did the sales revenue regularly cover all costs? The activities which were undertaken during the startup phase were grouped into 2 broad categories. The first category is discovery. That means developing the idea behind the business, for example, business planning or exploring market opportunities. The second category was termed exploitation. That is, the realisation of the idea. For example, by securing the required resources or by setting up a website. In this way, every month of a venture startup process could be described as focused on either discovery or exploitation, or a combination of both. These sequences of the startup process were compared to a number of reference sequences. Some were just randomly generated, others were theoretically defined. For example, one reference sequence was all discovery activities come first, followed by all exploitation activities. Sequence analysis, which is common in genetics to compare DNA strings, was used to make sense of this data. Some ventures follow a textbook-like process. All the discovery activities come first, followed by all exploitation activities. However, these startups do not result in a particularly successful venture. The same is true for startups with virtually random processes. So which way is most effective? Results suggest starting with a period of pure discovery or a mix of discovery and exploitation activities. Relatively soon, followed by a move into exploitation, but without completely stopping discovery activities. That is, the startups continue to develop the business concept as they go. At some point, however, they move to pure exploitation. That means the business concept is finally settled on and the business implemented. This research shows starting a business is not a single event. It is a long and complex journey. What does this mean for business founders? For them, good advice seems to be not to develop their business idea in every detail as a desk exercise and then launch the fully developed business. Instead, the startup process should go back and forth between discovery and exploitation activities. These activities can inform each other and lead to productive adjustments. But a word of caution, this back and forth should not go on forever. At some point, the founder needs to decide, Yes, this is good enough now to be implemented rather than getting lost while seeking unattainable perfection of the business idea.